Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to show you all of the components that I've chosen for my new aquarium project, which is going to be a 120-gallon planted discus tank. It takes a lot of thinking and deciding in order to reach the point of being ready to start a project, especially when you have a larger aquarium and a planted aquarium. So I hope some of you find this information useful. A couple things I will not be talking about in today's video is the cabinet or the aquarium. When I receive the aquarium, I will do an unboxing video and talk more about why I chose that particular aquarium and why I had it built the way that it's built. Pardon the puppy. I'll show you a picture of the puppy if you stick with me through this video. I'm going to try to get all this in one go, so here we go. I'm going to start with the substrate. This is Carob Sea Eco Complete Planted Aquarium substrate, black. It comes in 20-pound bags, and I have 6 bags totaling 120 pounds of substrate to adequately cover and plant in a 4x2 foot aquarium. There's a ton of products on the market, and this statement goes for everything I'm about to show you. The market's filled with products and opinions. I choose what I choose for various reasons, which I'll go into more depth on separate videos that are focused on the individual components. This is a Python hose. It's great for maintenance. You can hook it up to your kitchen sink or outside hose bib. Great for refilling, draining, gravel vacuuming. It comes with a 1-foot attachment. I have a 2-foot tall aquarium, so I bought the larger attachment so that I don't have to stick my arm all the way down into the aquarium in order to do certain maintenance activities like gravel vacuum. While we're talking about maintenance, this is a 1-gallon container of water conditioner. I do aging of my water prior to doing refills on the tank, but I like to use this. I like to have it around anyways. Sometimes you don't have time to age the water. It also removes toxic metals from the water, so it's just good to have a large quantity on hand, especially when you have a larger aquarium, because when you're doing 30 to 50 gallon water changes on a fairly regular basis, this stuff goes pretty quickly, especially if you don't age your water every time prior to doing a refill. When it comes to aquarium fertilizer, that also can be pretty expensive and is hard to buy economically in larger quantities for larger tanks that have a higher volume of plants. So I like to go to aquariumfertilizer.com and get the macro micronutrient mix. It's really handy. You can get 1/4 cup of this powder to make a 500 milliliter bottle, and that's pretty economical in the long run. You can make hundreds of dollars worth of aquarium fertilizer for 15 to 20 bucks. This is the API Freshwater Master Test Kit. I like these drop test kits better than the strip tests because they're more accurate. I also have a water hardness test kit that I've ordered, but it hasn't arrived yet, so I can't show you that now. This is a surface skimmer, the Eheim Skim 350. I like this device because it's small. I put it on a timer. I only run it at night. That way when I come in the morning, I don't have that protein film built up on the top of the tank. If your aquarium has an overflow style or a hang on the back type filter, then this is not as important, but I'm using a canister filter. I'm only pulling water from the bottom of the aquarium, so I like to be able to pull the water in from the top as well. It also aids with gas exchange at night because the plants begin to consume oxygen instead of carbon dioxide. So at night I kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. By surface skimming, I'm getting rid of that protein film that tries to build up at the top, but I'm also helping the gas exchange so there's always enough oxygen for the fish. These are just a couple of digital timers. They're kind of nice to have. For example, turning on the Eheim Skim 350 only at night. I can do like an 8-hour cycle after going to bed and having it turn off automatically in the morning. I also use one for my CO2 regulator. I plug it into my Milwaukee pH controller because I want the controller running all the time. I always want to be able to see what the pH is, but I don't want the CO2 to be on at night even if the pH hasn't met my minimum threshold. So This pH controller is really handy to have. It's nice to know what your pH is at all times. It's also nice to be able to turn off the CO2 in the daytime if the pH gets too low, because the CO2 drives the pH down, and you want to kind of, you don't want to reduce the pH of your water too much, especially with discus, who don't like wild, constant fluctuations of the parameters of the water. CO2 proof tubing is good. You don't really want to use regular airline tubing, because CO2 can actually go through the walls of that kind of tubing. So this tubing is designed to prevent leakage of the CO2. It gets it straight out of the cylinder and puts it straight into the tank. And of course I have a 5-pound aluminum cylinder for the CO2 that I only typically have to get refilled at a local fish store probably every 2.5 to 3 months. So it lasts a good long while. There are larger containers, but one thing you want to take into account is whether or not you have enough space under your cabinet for it. This larger PVC apparatus here is my CO2 reactor. It is not assembled yet. It's longer than it's actually going to be after I'm done assembling it, and I'll do a separate video on the CO2 reactor build and go into more detail on that. This is the CO2 regulator that goes on top of the CO2 cylinder for maintaining the rate of CO2, and it's also good because the pressure gauge on it shows you whether you have adequate pressure, and it also lets you know when your cylinder is getting low. These are Kessel A360X Tuna Sun lights. I also have the Wi-Fi dongle for that and the controller cable for that. These are really great lights. I love that they're fully programmable. They're small, they're sleek, they're powerful, they're quiet. They're much quieter than previous Kessel models out there. And again, I'll do a separate video about the Kessel light setup and do a demonstration showing the mobile app for controlling the light. So getting into filtration, I've chosen Marine Pure. I think this is a great biofilter media. You get 240 square feet of surface area for each of these spheres, which is just excellent for the bacteria colonies and keeping your water clean. Also have Purigen. Purigen is a great product. Many of you already know what that is, but for those who don't, this is a synthetic filter resin that does an awesome job of absorbing dissolved solids in the water. It can also be recharged and reused once it's met its full capacity. And this is the bag. The bag is a great way to contain the Purigen, and one of the main reasons for that is when you recharge your Purigen, if you choose to recharge your Purigen, you use bleach. And bleach will dissolve and erode and damage a lot of media bags, but this bag here is it's resistant to bleach and acids and other caustics, so you can keep your media in the bag when you're recharging it, and then after you've finished recharging it, you can just throw the bag right back into your filter. This is just some bulk filter sponge in a coarse, medium, and fine grade. It's also got you may notice it's got that kind of egg crate shape to it that increases surface area, as well as enables you to take different foams and put them together in different ways to put inside of your filter, and I'll demonstrate that in another video where I'm going into more depth on my Fluval FX6, which is a very large canister filter. Most of you out there are very familiar with what these are. I just love these things. I had an FX5 previously for a 120 gallon aquarium. This is pretty adequate. I'm doing discus, so I don't really need a ton of flow. I'm going to pack this thing with media, and one should be enough for my purposes. I've also made a few other modifications to this that I'll go into more detail on. I'm not too keen on the intake that these come with, and I'll show you later what I've done to address that issue. It's also nice when you're doing a planted tank to have some maintenance tools. These are some curved and straight tweezers. Some people call them pincettes. Some straight scissors, curved scissors, flattener, substrate manipulation tool. These are just handy for a number of reasons, and I'll be using these when I do my planting video. Finally, I have a couple of heaters. It's good to have a couple of heaters. The reason I chose this Hygger Pinpoint quartz heater is because it has a separate temp controller. I can just open the door of my cabinet and see what the temperature it is at any given time. And the probe for the temperature reading can be placed in a different location of the aquarium from the heater itself. So I like that idea because I don't want the heater where the source of the heat is being generated to also be the source of the regulation of the temperature, because it might be colder on the other side of the aquarium and the heater will shut off when its local temperature reads 82 to 84 degrees, which is where I'll typically be keeping it. And then this heater is just another less expensive heater from Marineland. I think I got it for like $13 on Amazon. First of all, you always want to have a backup heater. You don't want to have your temperature start dropping too quick on your discus. That is not good for them. The other reason I have this heater, and you'll notice that it's for aquariums up to 40 gallons. I do have a 120 gallon tank. This is a 500 watt heater. This heater is only 150 watts. But if I had to throw it in the tank while I ran to the local fish store to buy a new heater, I could do that. But the main reason I use this heater is for my 40 gallon trash can that I bought, that I will use for preparing water prior to water changes. Typically I won't be changing more than 40 gallons at a time. I can put this heater in the bottom of that trash can, fill it up with water, turn on the pump and get it circulating for a day or so prior to putting it into the tank. Because discus don't like sudden fluctuations in temperature, it's good to have your water at that 82 degrees to 84 degrees, whatever you're keeping it at, prior to putting it in the tank. You don't want to go cold tap right into a tank after draining 40 gallons because that's going to be too much of a temperature change for your fish if you have discus. Alright, so that's kind of a general overview of all the stuff, and I will be producing more videos soon about why I chose these individual components. And as promised, this is Penny, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel puppy, new addition to our family. Penny, can you come here and say hello? Cutest puppy in the world. Seriously, good little dog, makes a lot of noise. Tiny little dog, big personality. Penny, come over here and say hello. Come here. I mean, have you ever seen a puppy that cute before? Alright. See y'all next time. All of the required ingredients for the 120 gallon discus tank. Discus tank. A quick high-level overview of all of the things that I have purchased and chosen. That's redundant. It's not necessary. So I hope some of you find this useful. Hopefully, come on. No.